In this video, we're going to look at a CD player that's got kind of a unique problem, and this is one that is actually quite common on older CD players. Let's take a look. Today I have a Pioneer PDM703. This is a 6-disc cartridge load CD changer in for service, and I haven't turned this on yet, so just making sure that there's discs in the cartridge, which there is. So let's see whether this thing's doing anything, and just see whether this thing's going to do anything. Doesn't sound good. Well, it's playing, but it's making quite a loud squealing sound. Just gonna take the top off it and see whether we can see where that noise is coming from. So here's our optical block. These ones here play with the optical block actually shining down into the disc. The discs are actually put upside down on these. And a lot of time this noise that you hear is actually the laser, because sometimes the gain is too high for the focus. Now this can be either a focus gain problem or a tracking gain problem, but quite often if the gain is a little bit too high, you'll get that noise that we're hearing on this one. I'm just going to check this thing mechanically to make sure that there's nothing that's nothing causing it mechanically. Generally, when you get that type of a squealing sound, it generally indicates that there's too much gain on the focus or the tracking coil. And these ribbons have certainly been known to go bad. These flex cables here, especially right here on this back side here, because as the laser moves, you get a lot of flex back and forth on this particular one. So they have been known to cause problems on these ones here. I'm just going to remove the actual optical block, take the optical block out and have a little look at it. Generally, these ones don't suffer from the cloudy lens problem that happens on a lot of CD players, because the optical block is upside down. Right, on CD players that sit like this, of course, dust can settle on the lens, and that's not going to be an issue on units like this. Just want to make sure that there's nothing sticking here on this unit. It seems free moving. Okay, that all looks okay. There's two adjustments that are on here. There's a tracking gain and tracking balance, and that might be the problem. It's usually to deal with tracking too much gain, and it causes the servo to start hunting a bit. So I'm just going to remount the pickup. This one's the tracking balance, so this will be the tracking gain over here. We'll put the scope on there and just take a look at the eye pattern off of the pickup. See if I can tweak that slightly to stop that noise. To say usually it's too much gain, because too little gain and it's going to skip, right? Too much gain, it won't necessarily skip, but it can cause the pickup to get kind of noisy. So put the power back on, and we'll scope the tracking there, or the RF. We'll look at the RF. Here's our RF test point over here. Ooh, it's ugly. So you saw what control I tweaked. Here's our eye pattern, okay? Tracking gain. You got a nice clear eye pattern here. We have 69. So, units playing, noise is gone. Tracking gain was the problem, which is set a little too high. Yeah, see, this is where these analog scopes come in real handy. I'll put the digital scope on it just so you can see. At least this digital scope I have is just totally useless. As you can see, looking at the same waveform, this scope is useless. It just can't, it doesn't show you anything. It just doesn't have the resolution that an analog scope does. So this was a real bad investment, this thing. I wish I hadn't bought it, but when I bought the thing, of course, Slick, the salesman, told me that, oh, this is going to do everything. So there's the adjustment for the tracking gain. It's that one right there. You want to just adjust it so that your eye pattern is clear. And oh, when I put my finger near here, I'm actually changing the waveform on the scope slightly. But that's all there is to it. Quite simple to set up. So ultimately what you're trying to achieve here is you're trying to achieve the clearest eye pattern with the least amount of jitter. Something about like that. If you're too low, it's not going to track. It's going to stop playing, and if you're too high, it's going to squeal. So you find the happy medium that gives you the maximum signal with the clearest iPad. There we go. I'm going to let this thing play and verify it's going to play through properly without skipping and without making noise, and we'll see how this unit works. So as I continue to test this, I'm going to leave this thing run for a while to make sure it's going to play through all the discs without any issues. But again, if you're looking for a scope for doing alignment on VCRs and CD players and stuff, find yourself an old analog scope, because unless you're planning on spending a lot of money on a digital scope, you're not going to be happy with the performance. And this one here, again, it wasn't a super expensive one. I think I paid about $600 for it, but that was $600 totally wasted, because for the work that I do, the only stuff I really work on is audio gear, and it's okay for looking at audio signals, but you know, it's looking at any signal such as from a CD player. You're looking at the eye pattern, you're looking at the RF off of a VCR. They just don't cut it. It's save your money, find an old analog scope. You'll be much further ahead and much happier with an old analog scope as opposed to one of these entry-level digital scopes. Again, they may do the job for looking at clocks and digital signals, but when you're looking at an analog signal, analog scope does a better job. So I'm going to close this video off now, because I think this thing is pretty much done, Everything's looking good. It's been playing now for a while. I'm going to let it play for the rest of the evening here, but I think we've got this one, the problem solved on this. As you can hear, it's playing. And it's not squeaking. And that's the whole point. It's playing and it's not squeaking. We'll catch you in the next one. Catch you later. Bye.